A good evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, as well as our other streaming avenues. And tonight we review One Night in Miami. So if anybody in the chat has already seen has not seen One Night in Miami, I suggest that you don't watch this broadcast. But if you have seen One Night in Miami, we ask that you join the chat, join the discussion. One Night in Miami was a play written by Kent Powers where Regina King directed it and they made it into a movie on Amazon. It dropped on Friday and it discusses one night in Miami, the night that Muhammad Ali became the world champ, beating Sonny Liston. That night, he spent the night at a hotel room with Jim Brown, Malcolm X, and Sam Cooke. Good evening, you guys.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy MLK Day.
Yes, happy MLK Day. Knowing Martin Luther King's birthday is January 15th, but it's celebrated in this state on January 18th. And as crazy as it is in this country dealing with the institutional racism and things, Martin Luther King is the only person that has a standalone holiday by himself and not share with others that separates him from the presidents in this country, which is very interesting.
Well, what else is interesting before we get in this review? Stop putting on timelines today. Happy birthday, Dr. King. It ain't his birthday. His birthday is the 15th, people. This is MLK Day, which is celebrated.
We learn history, you might know that.
Yes, which is celebrated the third Monday in January, okay? His birthday is the 15th. All right, that's it. I'm sorry.
Okay, One Night in Miami, I'm going to get right to it.
Get to it.
I did not like it. The only thing I liked about it was the music. I did not like it. The actors did they did a good job. I didn't like it. I just didn't like it, you guys. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Dwayne.
He don't have no reason not to like it.
I didn't like it because Kent Powers, who did the play for the movie and wrote the screenplay, Regina King directed. The reason why I did not like the movie is because up until this day, nobody knows what happened in that hotel room. And Kent Powers is a wonderful director and screenwriter, and he's on his way to becoming real big. He said he imagined the conversation while he was a writer for Star Trek Discovery, and being one of the only black people, he was thinking, what could they have possibly been talking about in that room? And I understand it, and I respect his artistical imagination. But for me, I think that when you speak about four of probably the greatest icons, black icons that ever walked the face of this earth in this country, I think that because Jim Brown is still alive, I would have did everything in my power to get Jim Brown to talk, and he probably still wouldn't have talked about it because this is how I believe these guys did not talk back then. You know, nowadays, if you get four celebrities to spend one night in Miami, the whole thing is going to be on IG Live, opposed to how these guys moved back then. So I know that my counterparts feel different, and this is why we talk about the movie together collectively, and enjoy you guys to join us in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead, Keisha.
I just didn't like it. It was just slow. And maybe because I do like history, I just couldn't connect with the movie or the characters, or maybe individually. I don't know. It moved very, very slow for me.
Okay, well, I watched it 3 times. 3. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it, man. I thought it was well acted by the 4 leads. My favorite portrayal was by Eli Goree. I thought him as Muhammad Ali was amazing. We've seen a lot of movies where people try to be Ali, and I thought he knocked it out of the park. Of course, Leslie Odoms Jr., you know, he could sing. So him being Sam Cooke was excellent. You know, he's a singer, he's an actor. Um, you know, I love Mr. Hodge. You know, he's played in a lot of things that I like. You know, City on the Hill and, you know, Jim Brown. That's a tough role to play. A lot of people was like, well, he ain't look like Jim Brown. Well, you know, the only person that really looked like the person was the young man that played Malcolm X. And I thought he did a good job with that. But I want people to always remember also, okay, this stuff is loosely based on events that may have happened. It's fiction, people. It's not real. So a lot of people was thinking this really happened. This is how it really went down. No, it's fiction. Remember that.
Yeah, I do think that opposed to her just writing for certain episodes and Scandal and so forth and so on, Regina King, for this to be her first director review, I think Regina King did a hell of a job.
I thought she did The Watchmen.
She did an episode. She didn't do the whole thing. One of the things that I will say though, Regina King wrote a letter to Kemp Powers, and she said something about the play, and she said about the movie, and I thought it was interesting. She said that Kemp Powers, this adaptation of What Happened at Night, was a gift to black men, and though I did not like the movie, the reason why, and I'm just speculating, in my opinion, the reason why I think that she said that is because a lot of times, and me and Dwayne talk about this often, a lot of times people don't know that as black men, we do have these type of conversations that are very intimate, very open, very honest. And it's kind of crazy that we always, as black men, have to prove to black women and other people that we have these conversations where we confront each other, where we be intimate, where we talk and we discuss issues. And I think that was Regina King's premise of, wow, these four powerful icons at that time had a conversation. You know it wasn't no ego involved. I mean, Muhammad Ali, for those that don't know, he was still Cassius Clay at the time.
Right.
And he had just became the youngest heavyweight champion ever. And, you know, Muhammad Ali was not shy when it came to the ladies.
Right.
Jim Brown was not shy when it came to the ladies. So, and they even used the part of that and said, like, yo, what's going on? And like he said, excuse the algorithm, but Jim Brown was like, yo, I wanted some pussy.
Listen, Sam Cooke was all over the world too with his little thing.
Exactly.
So, you know, you talking about 3 of the 4 men that didn't mind being out there with the ladies, man. But
yeah,
you know, it's a lot of stuff. There was a lot of liberties taken, like to really think that the whole reason that Malcolm X kind of set that whole scene up was to, you know, recruit Muhammad Ali to his branching off of the nation.
I believe that part.
But that's not how it happened, because Muhammad was fully in the nation, you know, and then when Malcolm started speaking out, if you remember the movie, Muhammad Ali movie, he was telling Malcolm, you shouldn't speak out against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So Ali was already full force into the religion. They made it seem like he just made that decision that night, which is not accurate.
Yeah, like Dwayne said, and you know, and this is one of the things that we try to do is those in the chat, and I want you guys to use y'all imagination, and I'm gonna ask everybody in the chat, what do y'all think happened in that room? Because in 2020, NFL Network actually did a special on the room and asked Jim Brown, and the only thing that Jim Brown said, and those that ever heard Jim Brown talk, he said, today we look back and appreciate those who made this room significant, and said, I'm so happy that I was one of them. So Jim Brown is not going to never tell nobody what happened in that room, you guys. So, and this I believe, in my opinion, a person, I know that my two co-hosts, they love history as much as anybody. And those of us that want to know so bad, I think that's just powerful that they never said nothing.
Yeah,
Nobody never speculated. You know, none
I
of
think that that's grown men. In these days and times, I feel like people struggle with being grown and presenting as grown. So many men that's, for lack of a better word, they running around acting like broads. All they want to do is gossip or talk or expose somebody. That's not generally what men, well, any men that I knew or any men that I see in that era, that's just not how they behave. So what's foreign is this new crop of men that we see walking around. The standard would be them.
Yeah,
I don't know what we see.
it's foreign to us because our values got destroyed, man. Our
Yeah.
values really started getting destroyed in the 90s, man. You know, I talk to my boys, I talk to Q, I talk to Craig every day. We talk about wide range of things. Things that no woman need to know that we talking about. And that's no disrespect to them, but men need that outlet, you know? And hell yeah, as men, sometimes we gossip. Any man that tell you they ain't gossiping, they lying to your ass. But we need that release too, man. And I think some great things in my mind was said because you got to look what happened surrounding what took place that night. Sam Cooke sung a very conscious song, which was totally different from whatever else he was putting out there. Okay? Jim Brown was like, yo, I'm done with football. You know, they using me up, they doing X, Y, and Z. I want to go into acting. Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay at the time, was thinking about changing his religion. Malcolm X was thinking about breaking away from the nation. So you have four men that had a lot going on in their plate, and I just think that's what they talked about that night. You know,
yeah, yeah.
I don't imagine in my mind is what they did in the movie and the play. I don't imagine Malcolm X coming right out and attacking Sam Cooke like that. Because the attack was strong in the movie. The attack was strong. You know, he played the Bob Dylan song for him. And,
Now, I don't believe he would be rolling around with a Bob Dylan album in his bag.
My point. Malcolm X rolled around with a Bob Dylan.
I think that one of the unique things about that is that they said in the movie with Jim Brown allegedly had said, he said, wait a minute. He said, wait a minute, Malcolm. Sam is really the only one that doesn't have to wait on the white man to pay his check. And when you think about Sam Cooke and those of us, you know, we were all taught about these people and they've always been our icons, that Sam Cooke had the fortitude back then of owning his masters. Something that we see artists today, that we see Prince, what he went through. We see Jay-Z, what he went through, even with his ex-partner, Dame Dash. Like why Sam Cooke was so far ahead of his time back then that he owned his own masters. And I think that was amazing back then. Like and you know, as they say that his voice was just so gifted. So it was very interesting, like Dwayne alluded to, like that night, after that night, so many things took place. Muhammad Ali and Sam Cooke, both of them didn't make it to a year later. And it's like that conversation may have been just a release, like, yo, let me just dump all this on y'all and tell y'all what's going on with my life. And it's just amazing. You don't know the mystery about what happened is the intriguing part about the movie. So maybe, you know I could be harsh critic on dealing with history and making sure that it's told, but at the end of the day, we have to, like Dwayne said, when we dealing with movies, sometimes we have to let our imagination run wild a little bit.
I definitely think that we do. So I think that should be. So that's not my issue with the movie. My issue wasn't the fact of fiction part of it. I expected some fiction with this one. It just didn't move. It just didn't jive for me. I appreciated the Sam Cooke and the Muhammad Ali conversation. I don't think he would have been as forceful, but I think he would have said those things, especially we got to know which Malcolm we dealing with too. Because it's at a point that he definitely would have said those things and not cared about hurting nobody's damn feelings. Sam Cooke, though, yeah, he was owning and all, and allegedly that contributed to his death. Like the story they tell us is not the real story. So I did like that part, about Sam Cooke.
They wanted us to believe Sam Cooke was just a womanizer that was just.
Yeah, he was a womanizer, but it was more about how he was conducting his business.
Let me ask you guys a question because Dwayne, you got me thinking about Kemp Powers and why he said what he believes took place in that room, and it's really interesting. Maybe I looked at the movie from such a harsh lens. Knowing and I always say that today's athletes are living in what I call the Muhammad Ali effect. That athletes today are always held up to a bar that I don't think that none of them could reach. And one of the unique things about these four in that meeting and what took place in their own lives is, and I'm just speculating, nobody stepped on nobody's toes back then. That even though allegedly that after that meeting, when they all met in Ohio and they talked about to Muhammad Ali about boycotting, it didn't come out that Jim Brown was against Muhammad Ali until years later.
Right.
Even in the face of Muhammad Ali was like, yo, I'm steadfast. I'm not going to Vietnam. When they had their press conference, they all stood by him. Even the youngest one at the time, younger than Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was there, and they all stood fast, hand to hand, shoulder to shoulder, like, look, we in solidarity with him in this issue.
Now, imagine that meeting before they went out to the public. Now, imagine that meeting. I would love to know what happened there.
Yeah, Keisha, go ahead, Keisha.
Nope, look it up, my good brother. Let's see if you have the same.
I know that they say a lot of it's been said that Jim Brown was against it, and right. I can see why, and I can see why not. I just think that sometimes we and this is
dollars rule everything. What did what's the song? Cash rules everything around us. Oh.
But when you look at those four icons, it's amazing. Like each one of them, and after that meeting, and before that, a couple of them was already really like established in their activacy. It's like they all like turned it up after that.
Right. That's what I mean.
Like turned it up. I mean, most people understand the quote unquote the radical side of Malcolm X, but that year that Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam, he really mended a lot of fences. He met with Dr. King. A lot of things that shaped who he is today and who he is to us changed him. And same thing with Jim Brown to this day. I mean, I know a lot of people, Jim Brown is not the favorite for a lot of people because of his personal life, but Jim Brown, what he has done for the American program, started that program throughout the prison system in the country, always speaking up for what he believes to be right. And sometimes just because somebody's political affiliation is not the same as everybody else's, we sometimes get so caught up in you're with the other guy and not look at
Jim Brown ain't the fool, we the fool. Oh.
You said that out, Keisha, you said that out loud?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. And Keisha talking about me. I am the fool. You understand what I'm saying? I met Jim Brown one day. I got pictures on Facebook. And I was like a little white girl when they used to see Michael Jackson. Thought I was gonna cry and faint and the whole thing. But I love the football player Jim Brown. Not the Jim Brown throwing women off balconies or hotels. No, I can't rock with that Jim Brown. But
I don't know nothing about that Jim Brown.
The greatest football player ever, the GOAT, Jim Brown.
And I'm not going to say anything because
even then,
the algorithms.
Well,
Go ahead.
Clean it up. Clean it up and speak your truth.
Even so much so with the alleged how Sam Cooke died, it has always been mystery about because the woman accused him of physically attacking him, and a lot of people say it wasn't true. It basically was a hit, and
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if it's true. It's allegedly,
It's
but
alleged.
I think that when you step outside of your way of thinking and try to be just real objective and understand what these people meant to, as we say, the culture back then, anything that may have happened to them is on the table.
Listen, these were four complex men, okay? And as we know, I'm a black man myself. We messy at times. We messy at times, especially when it comes to the females. So
Well, see, this is why I'm gonna interject that I do believe that Malcolm X at some point had a conversation with Muhammad Ali about coming with him. But it might not have been at that time in the room,
oh yeah,
but
he
I
definitely did.
definitely think that conversation was had.
Oh, absolutely. It just wasn't had. It just wasn't had on that night. It just don't
Um,
add up. It doesn't add up. The year, all that don't add up.
I mean,
So again, I'm gonna ask everybody in the chat, Julia, Tariq. I can see y'all two are still in the chat. I want to ask y'all, what do you guys think the conversation was about that night? What happened, Dave? I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. We know that the conversation was never made public about what happened that night. This is the point of the discussion of the movie where we at. I'm asking you guys in the chat, what do you guys think was the topic of their conversation? Remember that Muhammad Ali had just won the championship. Malcolm was contemplating leaving the Nation of Islam. Muhammad Ali actually was about to become a member of the Nation of Islam. Jim Brown had just got finished doing his first movie, and they were basically all at the pinnacles of their career. So, what do you guys think in the chat happened? Dwayne, I lost your visual on you.
Cause he watching football.
No, ain't no football on right now.
He doing something. I heard Sports Center.
No, that's my phone.
Listen, I turned that off. Lisa blasted on me. No, I just lost y'all for a second.
Y'all interrupting the whole day. If I'm sitting here, sir, you gotta sit here.
Keisha, you have muted your phone actually.
Yeah, I just lost a little.
So Keisha, tell us your imagination of what you think happened in that room.
I mean, I think it was probably men kicking shit along the same lines. The ones that was married talking about either the wife getting on their nerves or she not getting on their nerves, or talk about their side girlfriend. I mean, I just think that it would have been a regular, like when y'all three get together, when y'all talking football, I think it would have been a regular conversation. So yeah, they talked about some sports. It was two. Sam Cooke probably talked about that show that was a disaster. They say Muhammad Ali they say Malcolm X liked to take pictures. I could just see them just regularly talking. I think the expectation is because of how great you imagine them to be, that you just want to be a fly on the wall of that conversation. But I think it would be like a normal bro-like conversation.
Tariq said they were each other's only peers. They needed to talk to someone who understood, like they said.
Yeah.
Julia said, I think the topic of the conversation may be in part about what the next step was to take after the march on Washington. That's interesting, Julia, because right up until that point, Malcolm was not a big fan of Martin Luther King until after he had came back from Mecca. So I think it's amazing because even so, like when you think about these characters and who they were, like Adam Clayton Powell was close with Malcolm X, but he didn't get along with Martin Luther King. It's a weird dynamic and interesting thing, but they all were part of
but you know
change and doing real activism.
But you know what that is, right, Q? It's ego. And even though they were big time, they still had egos, you know. And you know, we all
I think the thing that and I say this, I know a lot of people be like a person like Malcolm when you're around other guys who may be drinking and into a lot of women. I think they think that that type of person messes up their flow. I don't know about that because I don't drink, and I know when I'm around my friends that do drink, I have my own fun. I mean, I don't think I hope I don't be messing up their flow. Go ahead, if that's what you do, do you? Uh,
listen. I ain't listen.
most people say to me it's cute. I'm gonna drink for both of us.
Listen. I ain't one to never put my boys' business out in the streets. But when I'm hanging out with Craig and I'm getting my drink on, that joker drinking fruit punch. So I'm like, that's more alcohol for me. Go ahead, drink that.
Oh, you know, me and mine, we don't have that problem.
At least I know who's driving, but he don't fall under, the pressures of having to keep up with us. When I was a little bit younger, I've mellowed, okay? But when I was a little bit younger, and Hawks was in there giving away dollar beers and $2 shots at Hawks Tavern, we all thought we was bosses buying the whole bar. Craig was drinking
One
fruit.
one of the things, hey Dwayne, so you said what you think the conversation was about.
Yeah, well, this is what I was doing when I dropped off from you and Keisha. I was trying to remember something from highlight films and videos of when Cassius Clay beat Sonny Liston, and they was trying to interview him in the ring, and he was yelling, "He shook up the world" and all that. I was trying to remember if I really saw Sam Cooke in the ring with him, and
Okay.
I couldn't. Like, listen, I learned some things as a sports fan. I didn't know Jim Brown was doing play-by-play of the fight ringside. Was that true, Q?
I don't know.
Or that made up? Because that's the first
I
time
don't
I ever
know.
heard that in my life.
I think they might have added it, but one of I mean, like I said, I didn't really like it. I mean, at the end of the day, would I sit and watch it again? Probably to try to get a different look of it. I think that one of the things that Kemp Powers was doing was, like I said, he's on his way to becoming a hell of a screenwriter. Um, Kemp Powers is actually the person who's in charge with Disney Soul. So if you watch Disney Soul, know that Kemp Powers is the same guy, and he used to actually write for Star Trek Discovery. So I think that one of the things that he did is to try to give us the spirit of those four men and understanding their legacy that they left. And it's interesting that the movie actually dropped on Martin Luther King's birthday, and
Yeah.
that's one of the good things. And always remember that though today we celebrate Martin Luther King, we have to celebrate him in his totality.
Yes, sir.
Understanding that what he spoke about back then was not well received, and
No.
not just by the government or the quote unquote white man. He was not well received by other churches as all. I mean, his church took a lot of abuse from other churches that was part of their circuit because of him. So, in their spirit, just be mindful of how they have now profited off of. We've seen it. I mean, Martin Luther King's birthday. I remember the whole. A lot of people don't know is Arizona. Me and Dwayne remember we're big football fans. Arizona got forced. Arizona did not willingly make this a holiday. Arizona got
No.
forced to make this a holiday because they got threatened to lose the Super Bowl.
Right.
So
And they
we
did
should
lose.
always
And they did lose the Super Bowl.
yeah,
They lost it.
we should always be mindful of
And listen,
understanding our icons in their totality.
listen. Dr. King was a great man, but he was just that, a man. So he had his own transgressions. We know what he did. He was a man. He dipped out on his wife. It wasn't right, but he still did great things. Now the thing that bothered me this MLK weekend is that they dropped that MLK FBI movie. I don't like that they dropped that on MLK weekend because it didn't show him in a most positive light. You know, but again,
I'm mad that they didn't play the Paul Whitfield movie. They
Well,
got some new Martin Luther King movie on. I don't know that movie. I think it was Selma.
Yeah. I showed some pictures about a month ago about what's going on at his church, and you got people outside that's sleeping at his church, which is unfortunate because, like I said, sometimes the church now is like more of a museum, and it's a congregation, it's a museum part, but sometimes we need to always remember the great work that he did and why he did it. He did it for his people first, and then all of mankind after. Um, I think that, like what Dwayne said, is interesting that they would drop that FBI stuff and not explaining that the United States government was found guilty.
Yeah.
The United States government was found guilty. The United States government was found guilty.
Say it again.
The United States government was found guilty, being complicit in the death of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
We need to always understand that.
Yes.
They were found guilty. So now he's recognized as this hero, but we got to understand that he was hated by many.
I know we don't normally do this, so forgive me for this plug that I'm about to do. But I'm wearing this shirt on MLK Day, right? It was made by the Sour Man, Vic Bobo, right? So it's Malcolm, it's Martin Luther King, right? It's the American flag. It's him being restrained by police, and it says resistance. So somebody reached out to me because they saw me with this shirt today, and they was like, why would you have resistance under Martin Luther King Jr.? Because he did resist against the people that oppressed his people. See, so I think people just think of peace and love with Dr. King, but they forget about the struggle that he went through. They forget that he was the most hated man in America at certain points of his life. And those same people that hated him, okay, that were politicians that was later quoting all his famous speeches and stuff, they hypocrites, okay? So the struggle still continues for all of us black people. Okay, that dream ain't realized. Everybody want to see it, think the dream is realized? It ain't realized. And I know that's separate from this movie. But what I want you all to do when it comes to movies like this, fact versus fiction. Okay? They still gotta sell stuff, man. Amazon Video ain't putting some cookie cutter stuff. They want to be entertained. Okay, they want to entertain you. They want to show that the dude that was supposed to be guarding Malcolm was out in the parking lot talking to the white folks to spook Malcolm. Okay, now there was something realistic, and I think Quentin, you can attest to this as a black man. Yeah, we talk about a lot of things, but when we need to talk to Our Lady, we do step out and go separate. We ain't talking to Our Lady in front of these dudes.
Men move accordingly, yes. And all that boo boo and stink and baby, that's private. And if and y'all know, if you catch somebody saying that in public, you're gonna ride them all night long. Oh, yeah. But listen,
we gotta let Keisha go, y'all. Keisha, thank you for joining us and giving us an insight. Enjoy your evening.
All right, Keisha.
Good night.
Good night. We got it from here. So, Q, all I'm saying is, and I respect the way you feel about it. And you know what? To be honest, Q, I knew you wasn't going to like it. And I think I said that to you before you watched it. I tried to be very careful because I watched it 2 times before you watched
did. You said, I'm not going to talk to you about it. Did you watch it yet? And I actually, we didn't even discuss this in the show we did yesterday. I actually did not even watch football. I watched none of the Cleveland game in probably about a quarter so I could sit and concentrate and watch it. And like I said, to just try to imagine the imagination, and you got to be a thinking person to imagine what happened in that conversation with these four. I think that kind of like disappointed me because I'm like, Dad, Jim Brown's still alive, like
Let me ask
But
you,
I,
a question, brother. Do you think Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, and Muhammad Ali was just staying in that room that night after he became the champ? You think they was just sitting around eating vanilla ice cream?
absolutely not.
No,
I think that they were
no,
doing what they do,
yes,
even though we know that Miami at that time had segregated hotels. Knowing what we know about Sam Cooke and Muhammad Ali, now I know Jim Brown has made his way, but Sam Cooke and Muhammad Ali, it was some yams going on that night.
yeah.
It was some,
Come
it was some,
on, man.
and some reports say that 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, they didn't have no slumber.
No,
They didn't sleep.
that
They
wasn't no
didn't
vanilla
sleep.
ice cream. That was no, folks. Listen, facts versus fiction. All right, and I'm just gonna put my own spin on it. It was a lot more than vanilla ice cream being consumed that night. Now let your imagination go with that. Okay, this
So
man,
that
this man just shook up the world. You think he just stayed in that room? Man, please, man. Facts
so
versus fiction.
so that's about it, Wayne. I don't really have much more to add
Well,
to
you
it.
have a
Add
lot
to
to add to it. Okay, I want you to tell me because I'm gonna tell you right now. I thought all four did an amazing job. I thought Regina King did an amazing job, but this Eli Gorey, man, the way he played Muhammad Ali, well, Cassius Clay turning into Muhammad Ali was amazing, man. And to be honest, you know, a lot of these movies you got to be careful. The darn fight scenes weren't half bad. You know, so I think Regina King did an excellent job. I think the gentleman,
Tariq, you asked me to say why I didn't like it. In the beginning, when we started, I said I didn't like it because no one knows what really happened in the room. The whole movie was, if you look at the whole movie was based off conversations in that room, and the only person that knows that is alive that knows what happened in that room was Jim Brown.
he ain't talk.
Kemp, like I said, Kemp Powers said that he used his imagination on the conversation in that room. Not to discredit Kemp Powers, but no one knows. And I was more like Dwayne said, we have to realize is that even me got to realize that it was fiction. It wasn't. It was fiction. It was a fiction based off of loosely the truth. Were they in the room together? Yes,
Yes.
but no one knows the details of the conversation. That's why I didn't like it. Because I was expecting it to be based off of more truth about what took place in the room.
Yeah. But I think it's going to win awards. I do. I think Regina King's going to get more opportunities off this. I think Leslie Odoms Jr. is one of the most talented individuals walking this planet. When you think about how he did Hamilton, when you think about his music career, and this guy takes his acting career very seriously. If you look back at some of his old stuff, he's even done like episodes of Law and Order and stuff like that. So he's amazing. Hodge is one of the most underrated actors there is. He plays in a Showtime series that me and my wonderful friend right here love, called City on the Hill. And that young man that played Malcolm X, I'm going to tell you right now, this is what I feel about it. When they do a movie on Barack Obama, he's going to be Barack Obama because he could play that. He could play Malcolm X and he could play Barack Obama. So that dude will be Barack Obama, I'm going to tell you. But I loved
Yeah.
it. I absolutely loved it. I watched it 3 times. And after this show is off, I'm going to watch it again. Because there may be something else that I pick up on it. But again, like I said to Q, I love the movie Remember the Titans. Okay? It was loosely based. You know what? Coach Yost, he didn't have no daughter that was at all the football practices and stuff like that. That was for Disney. Okay? God rest his soul, Herman Boone, after the movie, he tried to change his whole persona and rewrite his history. And people was like, man, you wasn't that character that Denzel portrayed. But he loved that people thought he was. Again, fact, fiction. Based on true events. Based is the key word. So we got people that's watching this movie and thinking that's how it really went down. No. This is what this guy imagined went down. So now that gives you the opportunity, as Quentin has asked some of the people in the chat, tell us what you think happened in that room. Because I got ideas of what I think happened in that room, but we trying to stay on the air and not get kicked off YouTube. So there were certain things that I can't discuss that went on in that room. In my mind.
Knowing the bit of history that we do know about these four, like even before Malcolm, Detroit Red was a bad man.
Red was a bad man. You saw Malcolm X. You know, his little partner passed out when they got the verdict. But guess what about Malcolm X and that verdict? Fact versus fiction. Spike had to sell a movie. Speaking of that, my brother told me to watch the latest Spike Lee film, and I'm gonna have to do that too. But I knew in my heart of hearts that my brother Quentin Ford was not gonna like this movie. I knew it going in because he's a history buff, and he's conscious, and he knows these guys. Like me, I didn't know Sam Cooke owned his own masters. So I saw this movie, and I said, let me go find out if this is fact or fiction. So I researched it, and he did. And so again,
I tell you,
like Quentin said, they want people to think Sam Cooke was in a hotel chasing after this lady saying he was looking for another woman, butt naked with one sock on, and then the lady killed him. Now you gonna tell me this man that owns his own masters, okay, that's putting other black people on, gonna be like that in the hotel? I don't know. Fact versus fiction.
Yeah, musically, and I got this from Ronald Isley said this about Sam Cooke. He says Sam Cooke might have the greatest voice ever.
Sam Cooke could blow. And remember, listen, Sam Cooke was taken away from this earth at 33 years old, man. He was still a young man. He still had a lot of stories to tell.
His voice didn't even change again, right? His voice didn't even get a chance to change, right?
Now, I do believe that thing happened in Boston with Jackie Wilson, because if you knew anything, you do your research on Jackie Wilson. That man wanted to be the center of attention, and especially the center of attention with all the ladies. So I could see him rigging something so that Sam Cooke couldn't shine. Now, I would love to believe that rhythmic stomping of feet and him singing, I want to believe that happened in Boston. I do. So, again, it's a movie, folks. So let your imagination roam free. That's what movies do for us. But just because these is 4 people that actually lived and 4 people that we know, don't mean that everything that was portrayed in this movie actually happened. And I think that's where the lines are being blurred a little bit. Just enjoy it for what it was, a good movie with 4 amazing actors. And think about it. The majority of that movie was done in a hotel room. Think about that. And think about how they acted their butts off in one room. And Regina King let us feel all 4 of them, you know, outside of the room. She let us feel their struggles outside of the room. Here's Jim Brown, this amazing athlete, this young white lady and her father just telling them how great he is. You're great. You're the great Jim Brown. Then when something happened in that house and Jim was like, can I come in to help you? Oh, you know, Jimmy, we can't allow the word he used in the house. So how much do they really love
you? Yeah. So we're gonna close the show. I think it was, like I said, is even though I didn't like it, we did a review, so that's telling you something. Because some shows that I just be like, Dwayne, I'm not doing a review on that.
He
Keisha,
do.
I'm not doing a review on that.
He be shutting me down, y'all. And
Um,
I wanted to review last week's episode of Chicago PD because it was a dud. I don't like what they
I think
did
we're
with
gonna we might do a review on American Skin.
Yeah, I gotta
Yeah,
watch
we might do a review on American Skin, so stay tuned for that. For those in the chat, listen, really appreciate you guys.
We
Really
thank
appreciate
you,
y'all
man.
joining.
We thank
Y'all
you for
always help us
that.
every time we do a show. And I got a show coming up at 9 o'clock with Brown Girl Boston Drea. She's gonna give her 2021 thoughts.
Listen,
She's somebody that understands numerology,
tell you something.
understands energy, and she's a very interesting person as well. She's a professor at Tuskegee University, and anybody that has ever met her, Dwayne will explain to you what he gets from her.
Explain something to y'all, okay? I love everything that this man is producing on this platform. But there's 3 things I do not miss, okay? The Poetry Corner, Crown Rules, and whenever the lovely, deep, talented Drea comes on here, I said it on New Year's Eve, she ain't on here enough. But they'll fix that. But we got something for everybody on Let's Talk, man. Even for y'all, the ratchet people. Like, I choose to not listen to it. But there's a place for that too. You know, you got Shakita Speaks and you got Q and Shakita and Keisha, and they come up and they do their pop-ups. I view it. It's not always my cup of tea, but I view it. Because no matter if you like it, love it, or hate it, we black people trying to do something and bring something, so support it. Like, subscribe, and share. There's something on this platform for everyone.
With that, we
And
gonna
with
close
that,
the
you better
show.
watch Drea tonight because she's gonna start your January off with
Yeah, you know,
positivity and love.
as a plug for Drea. Drea says some things that were going to happen, and she's not someone who's given predictions or readings. Well, she does do readings. She doesn't give predictions. She says some things about 2020 that a lot of people, when she said it, disregarded it. And after she said it, a lot of things went into play. COVID came about, and so forth and so on. So I think that those in the chat, make sure you tune in to Drea because it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah,
With that,
and we're gonna end this because this man needs to rest before his next show. Yo, he's losing sleep, y'all. Giving y'all great stuff. So I'm
with
thankful
that,
for my brother. And with that, I'm gonna start running my mouth.
have a good night. Stay safe, everybody,
Peace and
and
love.
always keep your conscience going.